into Champion Select. Remember, it's patch 9.3. Things have changed, Zirene. The landscape is vastly different.
Yeah, we're seeing, some of the same things, the Lucian, the Ezreal being top tier marksman, but at the same time, the Urgot is now higher priority because Aatrox fell off. Cassiopeia can be played, but is definitely weaker. And there's a lot of champions that you're starting to see more and more target bans here from these guys. The Sylas, the York, already taken away, which were things you wouldn't typically see last patches as intensely, I would say.
Well, along with the Sylas and the Yorick, it's Irelia, Nocturne, and Lucian all removed. As you said, Lucian's still one of those top-of-the-table AD carries. Even after the crit itemization change, he's still a very powerful laner. You can use him to a lot of effect. And Ezreal, that notorious champion who just... It's like League of Legends has a certain timer on it, and after the timer runs out, Ezreal has to be broken again for a random reason, and currently he's broken because of double tier stacking and how powerful he is after the slight adjustment to his W and R abilities, but we will not be seeing him this game. Instead, we are going to see a continuation of what has been popular for so long, the Urgot in the top lane, locked in for TSM.
Yep, Urgot still flexible, can go mid, can go top, got a nerf 2 patches ago, but was not touched in this one, and that's kind of the head scratcher, I would say, in terms of balance, where people were expecting the Urgot, this high presence guy, to be taken away or at least knocked down a bit, but we'll see in the future. But right now, picked up highest presence right now in terms of the patch. Him and Lucian are pretty much just banned every game or picked.
OpTic Gaming's response to that is going to be to grab the Thresh for themselves, first and foremost. So we're going to see big on that playmaker, as well as making sure Meteos is on the Olaf, a champion that we've seen him play plenty of times in the past.
Yeah, and I love this for Meteos because Meteos has a style where he can farm very heavily or go for ganks, and Olaf does both of those. Power clears with the axes early, or he's able to go for ganks with Predator. So I want to see what he goes with here. Maybe it's a redemption build, which helps Olaf, and I'll speak more about later if he does build it. But big on this playmaker, kind of the main voice of the team right now, trying to get these guys unified. Because if you think about it, last week, OpTic, they did go 0-2, but they gave Team Liquid a run for their money, and a lot of that was stemming from the bottom lane and also the fact that, Arrow and Big were synergizing quite well.
TSM decides they're going to answer the playmaker of OpTic Gaming support with a playmaker of their own, picking up the Alistar there for Smoothie, as well as putting the Cassiopeia into the hands of Bjergsen. Remember, this champion was pretty much permaban status up until the patch.
Yeah, Cassiopeia did get a hefty nerf. Another one came her way where her miasma, a little bit weaker as well. And so the thing with this is she's still got a lot of her core strengths, the sustain, the ability to get through lane, and the scaling, because the ratios weren't really touched at all. The base damages are things that were really knocked down for her.
And look at the stats on your screen right now for that latest lock-in for OpTic Gaming. Sion with the 84% presence in games and a 71% win rate. This is the S-tier tank in the game right now, and it shows.
Yeah, and if you're playing against TSM, we were talking about TSM get these early leads. They would have gold advantages at 15 in most of their losses, so they kind of drop the ball mid-game. If you drop the ball mid-game versus a Sion, he's going to scale up, he's going to become unkillable, and you can think back to having Dhokla on this champion and being able to scale up. Even CLG, think of Darshan, being able to scale up, make sure that they're unkillable.
Looking at the bans, it's going to be AD carry time as Draven is banned out. Corki also banned away. Corki, one of those champions that likes the way that AD carry itemization has been changed around recently. Benefits pretty heavily from that. We'll see what else OpTic wants to ban away. What do they expect here? The Yasuo.
Ooh, I like that. Yeah, Yasuo is another one where Infinity Edge into Phantom Dancer is great for him, because before, he didn't really want to build Infinity Edge because it doubled your crit, which is already his passive. So now, he buys the Infinity Edge.
Quadruple your crit.
Exactly. It's like he doesn't need that. You buy the Infinity Edge, you buy the Phantom Dancer, and you get the Sterix passive, the Lifeline passive that you wanted anyway. So it was very beneficial for him to get 100% crit from 2 items, and his Q crits at 180%, and now the Infinity Edge just bolsters that instead of gives him true damage. So overall, very buffed. I expect to see more bans or first picks of that champion in the future.
Final ban of the game will be the LeBlanc. TSM keeping that one away from Crown. As OpTic now thinking about what they want to go for here. They're saying, all right, you take one big damage mage out, we'll just pull out another way to one-shot you.
Yeah, I love the Zoe pick here for Crown. Up against the Cassiopeia, you're never really in this mid-range that she wants to operate in. You can get away, and it forces her to take Cleanse, too, in most of her matchups. So it means that you'll be able to, you can see Bjergsen just swapped over to it from heal. It means that he's going to be able to kind of take that away from him, and if Bjergsen has to use Cleanse and then counter, then there's a probability that, or a possibility that Crown even picks up his own cleanse and can get out of the Cassiopeia ulti. So it's actually a pretty good matchup for the Zoe overall.
Now, what do we think about this Jayce lock-in
It's
here?
NA.
It's NA. All right, fair enough, but it is unusual in that means we're going to see the Jayce bottom, or potentially the Cassiopeia bottom.
Yeah, I think it might be the Jayce bottom. Yeah, it's going to be the Jayce bottom here. So Zven is going to be playing that most likely, but you said the Cassiopeia can go there too. That's an interesting thing to think about because it means that they might get a better Zoe matchup with the Jayce if they wanted to bully her early, but I feel like Bjergsen's going to be on that and Zven will just play the Jayce bottom.
I have to bring it up as a possibility, just in case. That way I look really smart if they do end up swapping it around at the end. Gragas will be the final pick here for TSM, putting that one in the jungle for Akaadian, as the lock-in for OpTic Gaming will be Kalista.
Yeah, hovered the Jinx, which is very powerful on this patch with crit items, who jumped up in win rate, loves the synergy that she gets with them, but the Kalista, not really affected by the crit items at all. You still build on hit on her, and so this composition in the bot lane, it's very hard to gank them.
Yes, that's what I was going to point out, is this is probably one of the most obnoxious combinations of two champions in the game to try to get a kill against the two of them together. Thresh will save Kalista with the Lantern. Kalista will save Thresh with the ultimate post level 6. It's a headache.
Yeah, and with the Cassiopeia, which is in the bottom lane here, so it's Bjergsen on the Jayce, like you were calling here. The Cassiopeia is bottom lane, so this means that you get to skirt around her and you can dodge her Qs potentially. It becomes harder to actually land them on the Kalista, and she usually rushes boots because her martial cadence, or sorry, not martial cadence, poise, I believe, is the one that she jumps around, her passive. It's affected by your boot rank, so she'll rush those and have a great distance that she can actually avoid Cassiopeia's spells.
Coming into this game, we talked about how TSM has not looked super coordinated in the mid to late game phases. Yeah, they're fixing those classic problems of, oh, it's TSM, everything's super slow. They're just waiting to outscale because they know that they're better individual players than their opponents. But now they've got this problem where, why is everyone not on the same page? Hell, sometimes it seems like they're not even reading the same book. That's what we want to see from TSM. And for OpTic, remember, this is a team who only got to field their intended starting roster just last week in week 3. So we're looking for these guys to all start gelling now too.
Yep, they went 0-2. They almost beat Team Liquid. They had an early game lead. They pushed them to the limit. But now they're playing TSM here, another team that went 0-2. So both these teams looking to bounce back here.
Let's see who's going to extend the win count to 3 here. TSM versus OpTic Gaming out onto the Rift. Everybody spreading out, fanning out 5-man wide, making sure that nobody slips into the jungle undetected here early at level 1. As now we're going to go ahead. We've got a sideline report. Avali is standing by with Zabutin.
Thanks, Flowers. Zabutin, we saw OpTic debut their intended roster last weekend, and unfortunately, you guys went 0-2. So how's the team feeling coming into this weekend?
So last week I said that we had a lot of training, but we actually didn't. I want to say the opposite. We had like less than 9 games of like practice with the actual team, and we had a good early game into Team Liquid. I think that this team has a lot of space to grow, but time is all it takes. So we have to hope for the best for now, but the team is improving day after day. So I'm pretty confident we can get wins this week.
Well, thank you and best of luck to you. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much. Avali, we'll see if they can make it happen here. I mean, meteos on this Olaf, as you already said, Zirene, this is what you could see from meteos with the power farming, or maybe he does get involved in some of these ganks early, but considering both these guys have Predator, as soon as they go back and get the level 1 boots, playmaking is a possibility as Braum, nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. I didn't see it. Did you, Zirene?
I saw it, and I don't know what is
That was the wrong answer. We didn't see anything, did we, crowd?
No, I gotta call that out, Flowers. I can't turn a blind eye to that. I mean, at least it's his flash and not his... I mean, his heal and not his flash, so that's the bright side of that, but it's the next level BM. You just use one of your summoner spells in their face. I don't know.
It's the old school days. For those of you who remember the throwback to the early seasons when you could have the mastery that gave you 5 AD when Ignite was on cooldown.
Yeah, you
walk into lane, Ignite the guy for 50 damage.
Oh, man. And then you just run around with this extra AD. You're like, all right, clearing my jungle a little faster.
At level 1, who cares about having a 50 damage Ignite, but you cared about having 5 AD. So back in the day, it made a lot of sense. Right now, it doesn't particularly. meteos clearing out his blue buff, of course, very important for Olaf here early on. You can see Both junglers at their respective blue sides. Akaadian now clearing out that Scuttle Crab after starting his blue, but Meteos went for that red to blue, buff to buff path.
Yeah, and he's going to get that bottom Scuttle Crab here, buff to buff, but also got his Raptors, I believe. So he'll hit level 3 here off the Scuttle Crab, whereas Akaadian is doing his top side jungle, and he's going to have to go to the opposite side here, and because they warded the Raptors and saw that Akaadian isn't there yet, Meteos going to try to go for a 3 buff.
And you saw question mark pings as well as the on my way ping coming out from the side of TSM. They're saying that they know something is up here. Meteos moving in.
He's going to get this before he can see it.
Big's behind him as well. Meteos does secure that one with the smite. Akaadian not in range in time, even though his smite was also ready. Good steal away there by OpTic.
Yeah, and it's just one of those things where, sure, you had priority on the top side of the map, but Akaadian went for a full clear on that. And honestly, it was a little risky for Akaadian to even go for that top side, but we'll see. Oh,
Comes out. Akaadian not walking back into that one, but OpTic is really getting in the face of TSM early.
yeah, very early on, just making sure that Big can go for those roams, and he's one of those big playmakers. He's the guy who is usually the big voice on the team and makes sure that they're all aligned. And the fact that he's in the invade and they have priority bottom side with this marksman and the Kalista, they're going to keep bullying here. Meteos is tracking Akaadian still, making sure he can't get anything done, because most of TSM's early game has been Akaadian making bold moves.
You say tracking, it feels more like just stalking him through the jungle. He's not even bothering keeping tabs on him with wards. He's standing there staring at him, farming up, being like, I'm ready to steal that. You better be ready for it. But bottom side, it's now OpTic and Big, both back in the lane, as the wave will be pushed towards them. Zven and Smoothie in control for now. They are both level 3 compared to Big, who just now hit it. So OpTic not wanting to opt into any of those 2v2s until they were on even footing there in terms of levels. Now Meteos falls back into his own jungle.
Yeah.
He knows he still has his camps to clear, despite the fact that he was harassing Akaadian over his.
Which is a very late recall for Meteos. He's going to go to his Raptors, maybe even clear his Krugs. But normally, you would back for Predator and then go for a gank. And the bottom side of the map, it looked like Zven and Smoothie thought that because the lane was being froze on them and they knew Meteos was bottom side, that they could potentially beat ganks. So Smoothie was hanging out in the bush because they were pushed up, and they're just going to go for a recall here instead, or at least Smoothie is, and Zven's going to stay.
Zven will just hang around on this Cassiopeia, doesn't want to miss out on anything. Topside Broken Blade goes ahead, uses the TP to get himself back in the lane here against Dhokla. You can see the ward from TSM has its eye on Meteos, so they know he's topside, but at the same time, Olaf with no mana is not particularly scary.
They know he's topside, which means Akaadian can go ahead, walk in, but then that Scuttle Crab is going to be his. Meteos can't contest that right now. He has no mana. He doesn't have any purchases either, so Akaadian knows that this is one that he can pick up while Meteos takes a recall.
Easy crab for Akaadian, helps make up for a little bit of the loss he incurred earlier with Meteos stealing away that red buff and harassing him, taking away a couple of those small chickens. Always feels good to get an extra side of crab legs there in your early jungle pathing.
And like, look at the gold difference there, where Meteos is up 260. This is kind of an old classic Meteos hard farming style, where he would track you and make sure that the other jungler can't have an effect on the game while he does. So it puts you up in levels, it's very slow and controlled, and you're just playing off of lanes that are winning and have some priority here. So he's going to be playing to the bottom side of the map most likely, because Dhokla in this range versus melee matchup, it feels like it's going to take a while before it starts flipping in the Sion's favor, and Broken Blade will have the advantage here. So, looking at the Dragon, Meteos will control that area, and that's pretty much where this Olaf is going to be going.
I mean, the nature of the Sion matchup anyway, you talked about how once it gets to mid-game and he starts scaling up, he's sort of an inevitability. And now Akaadian looking to make the play onto Crown, almost catching him out. Lantern brings him to safety. OpTic doing a good job disengaging here for now. Crown not having to blow the flash there.
Yeah, Meteos got to take some of those chickens. They got the flash out of Akaadian, and then only the heal was blown by Crown because he got that nice Lantern out from Big, who's doing a great job shadowing. And this is coming from the fact that Big gets to roam off the priority that they keep having on the bottom side of the map.
3 versus 3 here in the bottom side. You can see Smoothie and Akaadian down here towards that Krug campus. Then we'll clear out the minions underneath the turret. Also remember that if TSM doesn't pay enough attention towards the Drake pit, it is very easy for Olaf to solo that down very early into the game. It is Ocean Drake as the first one, which can be very helpful during the laning phase.
Yeah,
so
Ocean and Mountain.
Keeping an eye on that.
I consider Ocean and Mountain the two that I want to rush early game, because the Ocean will help me so much with staying in the lane and potentially getting turret plates, and the Mountain gives you pre-mitigation damage, so you're hitting the turret for like 50 damage, but then you have 27 true damage on it, even though it's not 50%, it's a much lower number than that. So it gives you damage that you would have done as true damage. So getting those plates becomes so much easier. Those are the two that I really feel like are highly prioritized, or should be highly prioritized here.
Good read there from Bjergsen in mid lane, firing the shock blast back towards where Crown would be. Making
Meteos
sure that
gonna
he's
help
coming
him
out
clear.
on top in those. Yep, Meteos just showing up here. Purpose of this gank is not to actually inflict damage on the opponent, but rather shove that minion wave out and make it so Crown can get a good enough back timing. Battlestar comes in, Crown gets back,
Big flash.
and everything's good to go. Akaadian still not level 6 here on this Gragas.
Yep, he's gonna go for the gank
Find
on
his
the
way onto
Meteos.
Meteos. Meteos has to flash over the wall to keep himself in a good enough spot. Immediately dropping the smite down onto the big chicken.
And his red buff.
Akaadian comes in, makes sure that he steals away some of these, repaying Meteos for the earlier theft.
Yeah, because Meteos went mid to help his mid laner back, you give away your position, you get ganked, and now you can see Broken Blade uses his priority top. And TSM, off of Broken Blade and Akaadian, are now going to play to that opposite side of the map that I said that Meteos doesn't really want to play to this top side. And this is exactly why, because Broken Blade can roam down. He can do what Big has been doing on the bottom side of the map, and this is where TSM have their point of power.
Broken Blade just walking himself back into the lane. Not too afraid of that Sion right now. Dhokla without a huge damage threat, rushing the Ninja Tabbies to make sure he's in a better position against the harassment of the Urgot in the lane. As we take a look back down towards bottom side, level 6 for both of the carries. Supports will tick that soon. Remember, that's when you enter that state of how in the world do I ever gank this lane when you're going up against the Kalista Thresh combination. The two will always have a method to save each other almost, unless you can get the miasma down and stop the lantern or something similar. Meteos on the Ocean Drake, as you can see, Akaadian backs and does not spot what OpTic is up to, so this one should be pretty easy. Ping's coming out now. Question marks onto the Drake pit as OpTic have rotated their bottom lane away from sight. That gives TSM the hint, hey, something's probably up, and with that Drake turned into a pin cushion, it's an easy pick for OpTic.
They're going to pick that one up and allow them to stay in the lane. And everybody's going to love this. You saw Crown have to back, and because it restores missing mana and HP, the lower you are, the more it's going to give you back. So Crown in that situation where he was running low on mana in the lane and had to back off that, that's not going to be, I would say, as much of a possibility here, and he'll just keep restoring it, especially with those double Dorans he's picked up too.
Feels good, man. TSM bringing Akaadian down here. They're saying, all right, our opponents just took the Drake. That means they're probably backing, resetting afterwards. This is our opportunity to sit down some vision of our own and really take control of the whole area again.
Yeah, they have to have this kind of their time, but right now, you take control of this whole area, all it's going to buy you is some room for Zven and Smoothie to potentially maybe affect mid lane, because now Meteos is going to want to play to the top side, even that up, and the Rift Herald will come up. So there's nothing for him to play for on the bottom side besides plates and maybe playing off his priority. But if he's playing the map and looking for neutral objectives, the top side is where Meteos is going to want to go now.
As we've just now crested the 10-minute point, worth noting, stopwatches have come online free for the entire top side of TSM. Over on the side of OpTic, you've got one on the Sion, you've got one on the Zoe. So 5 of these. Whoa, one on the Thresh too. I just now noticed the one in Big's inventory. So 3 for each side, 6 stopwatches for when these skirmishes do finally break out. 10 minutes into the game, still 0-0 in a game separated by 100 gold. The teams have been doing a good job staying very close so far.
Yeah, I watched this or that with Kobe and Cap, where
The
talk about
noise, Zirene. I hear it in my sleep after some of these team fights. It just never stops.
I feel like you're keeping track of them. You're like, hey, everybody, they're online right now. As a reminder to yourself, because when these fights break out, you'll have 6 people who can go golden, and then Zoe can pick up all of those. So
Oh,
he
that's
can
right.
spend
Yeah,
so
you can
long
just
in-
have Zoe stasis for 9 years in a team fight. Hopefully it doesn't turn into that, but you never know. Topside, Dhokla farming up here on the Sion, does have the Bramble Vest to deal with some of that machine gun auto attack fire coming out from Broken Blade's Urgot, who, as per usual, will look towards that Black Cleaver against a tank opponent to shred some of that armor down. Akaadian bottom side will be walking over the ward. They'll clear that out, but it means they will not catch anything from the side of OpTic.
Yeah, they just know that TSM have their jungler on the bottom side. That's it. They replace the ward. They say, nope, this ward has to stay. It's out of range of the turret to see it. It's out of range of the control ward, and that's such an interesting play for Big to try and make, because Akaadian's on the bottom side. They're gonna spot him there. Wait, they saw that ward get placed down. Akaadian is actually just kind of muscling his way in here.
Akaadian's just chilling out,
Yep.
wanting to make sure that he's helping these guys.
And because of that, though, he's hurting his team, because Meteos is now playing to the top side of the map like I said he was going to, and he's taking the Rift Herald.
TSM, what do they have to get? Like you said earlier, Zirene, big bucket of nothing. The entire bottom half of the map is empty. I guess you can try to go steal away a Gromp if you want. Get a Frog, but a Frog versus a Shelly is not an even trade. Oh, Meteos still working on that Rift Herald.
The scariest thing is the jungler when you're
very
just
low.
sitting there,
Oh,
you're like,
you don't want this
think-
to happen.
I think they think I'm doing it.
It's going to be contested. Here comes your Sion. Akaadian forced to body slam out of the way. Crown finding some damage down into Bjergsen. Drops the exhaust into the Drowsy, forcing out the cleanse away from the Jayce.
Oh, there's the eye.
Comes
The eye's
down.
open.
Eye is open. OpTic looking to
Hit it,
maybe
hit it
finish
in the
this
back.
one off. Can they
Fight
take it down? They've got it. Eye is going to fall onto the ground. Not picked up, though. TSM doing a good
Dhokla.
job controlling the area. TSM saying, don't worry, Akaadian. You're not going to be the only person this split that leaves it on the ground. We're going to make sure of it.
Oh, man. But who can go get that? I don't know. I feel like somebody'd have to flash into the pit, and then Big would have to lantern them out.
This is going to be a Metal Gear Solid deep stealth mission to go in and retrieve the eye undetected and then get back out.
It is. It's like Dhokla, Opticon.
Get in there.
Opticon, what is it?
Oh, can he do it?
I don't know.
Exclamation point above Gragas' head. He saw him.
Gosh, should have gotten a box, man.
Yeah, if he just stuck in there in a cardboard box, it would have been fine. But the eye has been protected by the side of TSM. They will not allow OpTic to pick that up today. So even though they didn't manage to steal the objective away, you do get the consolation prize of keeping the Shelly summon off the table.
Something about TSM games and that Rift Herald not getting any love, man.
Oh,
Rots on the ground. But it's actually a big win there for TSM because OpTic get the 100 gold from killing the Rift Herald, yes, but it was pre-14 minutes. And pre-14 minute Rift Herald is a big power play that can get you about 3 plates normally just by charging, which ends up being 160 gold times 3. So you're ending up with, what is that, 480 extra.
Just shy of 500, yeah. Very big payday on that one. TSM now having to fight for their own red buff yet again. OpTic moving 4 men into the jungle here. Oh, Akaadian gonna be found out by the skippy trouble bubble. Big's looking to bring him right back in. There's your first stopwatch of the game. The box is brought down. Akaadian flashing away. Keeps himself alive, but the red fight is over. I like how aggressive OpTic Gaming are in the bottom part of the jungle, Zirene. As Big goes for a hook. Finds about half a Smoothie's health bar with it. The red was not secured. So that means Akaadian should still be able to secure this one for himself. Taking a look at the turret plates. Bjergsen's going to take a lot of damage there. Proto belt into the paddle star. Paddles half his health away. 2 turret plates for TSM in total. 3 for OpTic. So at a 160 gold lead there coming out strictly from those. As now the Mountain Drake is up and alive, and that will be meteos working on that.
Yep. And this will help his team out a lot, especially since that bottom side of the map. They want to free these guys up to roam. As soon as this bottom turret will get broken by OpTic, it means that Big, he's been roaming around and he's been contained to the bottom side of the map. But as soon as he starts to affect the top side, Broken Blade, who was winning this lane before, but the Bramble Vest flips the matchup, it means that they'll be able to play off that in the future here too. So OpTic, they're looking really good right now, and this Jayce hasn't been able to get much done.
Bjergsen. Yeah, when you pick the Jayce, you want to see the lane get smashed. Jayce is not a pick that you pick and say, oh, is he going to win the lane? It's, is he going to win the lane enough?
Yes.
And right now, 5 CS, 4 CS up over a Zoe, I don't think is enough. So, but how that works for TSM as we transition into the mid game, especially when you're up against a front line that's pretty beefy, we'll have to wait and see. Dhokla continuing to shove in this wave topside here as well. Still just sitting on a bit of a garage sale in the inventory. You got a potion, a couple cookies, your grandpa's old stopwatch, a shirt that you found in the garage, and some frozen circle thing. None of it's particularly making a convincing case just yet, but just give him a little bit more time. Sell off a couple more knickknacks, grab a little bit more gold, and he will have that tanky Sion identity that we always look for from this champion. Big trying to move up there, just threatens Zven away. Allow Arrow to get some more free firing time onto this tier 1.
Yep, it's that big luxury in the top lane that we were talking about where the Sion can just build straight armor because he gets HP. A lot of the times you want to have both those stats at the same time, and because of the passive of the Soul Furnace, he's able to build solely towards a certain stat. And that's what makes Sion so oppressive. And this bottom side, that half HP turret, though, is something that they have to keep in mind. That Smoothie back timer was something that they're able to exploit. And with the Blade of the Ruined King on the bottom side, Arrow is able to go ahead, pressure the lane, and then do pretty much whatever he wants here.
Bjergsen and TSM trying to make the play on the Crown here in the mid lane.
Turn this.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble forces the cleanse out of Bjergsen. Nice accuracy there from Crown, making sure TSM at least pays for this aggro. But I want to comment real quickly because you mentioned the Soul Furnace from the Sion, making it so he can build these resistances. We're only 16 minutes into the game, and he has farmed up just shy of 700 HP from the Soul Furnace.
Ooh.
That is why this champion is an S-tier tank.
Yeah, and the fact that he wasn't really bullied too much in the lane, he's got that 10 CPS per minute.
Oh, Smoothie's in some trouble, but they're able to turn it right back around onto Crown, who has to flash away, keeping himself alive, but the stopwatch take him! The stopwatch keeps him alive, and it's first blood over to OpTic. Crown gets over the wall, but will he survive? Not for now! Drowsy makes its way onto Broken Blade as Dhokla's gonna be pulled back in. They both go into the stasis. The hook comes out, it won't find the right target, and Dhokla's pulled back into the grinder! As Broken Blade is taken Meteos showing up to make sure they get that kill. Zven grabs one onto Big, and it is 3 for 2 TSM.
That was a 3 for 2. Crown starting that one off onto Smoothie, almost blows him up, but then Meteos on the other side. Meteos was taking blue that whole time, finally comes in after counter jungling. We'll see this one more time here. This has started off where Crown's like, I got you, Smoothie. Smoothie ulti, flash, head pulverize. Then they're able to make Crown half the Zhonya's here. It's enough time, because if he didn't Zhonya's, he dies to the Ignite, but it leaves him there long enough that Broken Blade's TP completes. They're able to finish him off, and then Arrow comes over the wall, gets that final little touch there, but then the flash, I like that stun. That was actually great there from Zven to stun Arrow so he couldn't finish him right as Broken Blade got out of the Zhonya's. That was really good.
It took us 17 minutes, but we finally got some blood here in this game.
And the watches.
And the stopwatches. We popped a lot of those in that fight too. TSM now currently enjoying a small lead in terms of kills, but still behind overall when it comes to the gold. We talked about how OpTic got more turret plating. When you look at the farm, it's a very slight lead for Dhokla. It's even in the mid lane for Crown versus Bjergsen. Very slight lead in the bottom side for Arrow. And Meteos is really out-farming Akaadian when you compare what the Olaf has compared to that gragas. 129 CS to 87 is a big win there for the side of OpTic Gaming as Crown nearly takes Bjergsen down there. 200 HP remaining on the Jayce.
Oh, man. So Crown just poking him out. And I was looking at it earlier, and we'll talk about bounties for a quick second.
Okay.
Crown had a 600 gold bounty on him before that fight. And everybody's 0-0-0 in the game. And the gold was pretty even. And he was only up about 300 gold. So he had a 600 gold bounty on him. But it was weird because right before they got the kill onto Crown, his bounty dropped to 500 because he got an assist, which for some reason made it drop because I think the gold was swinging back and forth.
I'm not going to pretend to know how the bounty math exactly works.
Yeah,
it's a tricky
I have
algorithm.
confusion about that
But
one, man.
I do know the math behind taking the first turret, and that puts about 1,000 gold in your pocket.
Yep.
So OpTic grabbing that for themselves, extend that lead a little bit further, but now they have to defend their own tier 1. It's TSM pushing up, trying to return the favor here. Smoothie coming around from the side, looking to make the dive happen. This is Alistar. This is Turret Dive City as Big finds himself on the wrong side of the miasma. He's knocked back by the cast, and that is 300 gold in the pocket of Bjergsen as Crown gets one back.
Crown has the poison, but he's going to get right away from that. Arrow's going to take the turret on the bottom side, even that up. And honestly, another point of power here for TSM. The reason I'm bringing up that bounty is because it was 500 gold instead of 600. That went over to Broken Blade, and he's got those 2 kills that they were able to get, 2 of the 3, and now he's on that top side. So he is ready to start dealing some major damage in this game as the urgot.
And now that's the first Drake of the game that TSM has picked up for themselves. Going to equalize that regeneration between the two sides. Ocean Drake, not the greatest thing to have the first one here, but let's take another look at the support to support trade.
Yeah, Smoothie goes in. The play is a little late because Big is doing it off of reaction, not knowing that Smoothie is there and seeing him and predicting it. But then Crown's able to get this one back, hit Smoothie, who's taken all of those turret shots. You have a lot of resistances or you have a lot of damage reduction. It's still not enough. That turret is going to be pelting into you.
And you can actually share your stories and tag at LOL eSports right now on Instagram and use the hashtag HowILCS. Let us know exactly how you're enjoying all the games today. You might have a hell of a story, but I'm not going to know what it is unless you hit us with that @ and that hashtag. So go ahead, let us know, and we'll see if you show up on the LOL eSports Instagram page. But now it's OpTic who are looking to paint a picture here in the mid lane with this flank onto TSM. See if they can find anything on that one. Turret's still going to be standing for now. Zven won't be able to find that last bit of damage. Meteos wants to come around here, see if he can use that Predator move speed to get himself in range, but it doesn't look like it. OpTic now have priority over the mid lane. But Bjergsen and the rest of TSM still want to collapse on this if they can. Akaadian popping the Predator of his own. Both sides just seem a little bit hesitant, Zirene, to really go that last bit of distance and get in there.
Yeah, nobody wants to incredibly force anything. And Smoothie, he was not spotted out, and then he went for the Hex Flash, but they had already pushed up on OpTic's side. And because they have that tier 1 turret down, and because the tier 1 turret for OpTic is still standing in mid lane, they get to have that advantage in priority just a little bit. It's so close to falling down, but now with the Baron live, everybody wants to play on this top side. They want to secure the Scuttle Trap, and they want to make sure that nobody gets picked off in the meantime. But Dhokla, he's not taking much damage.
Yeah, TSM starting off the fight, but they're starting the fight off onto the Sion, which is a very tanky boy. He'll just go ahead and get himself out.
They put 2 wards down on the Lantern.
Braum, this could be a little bit dangerous. Tries to get himself away. Box gonna be dropped just to make sure that he has that covering fire to get himself out without the harpoon bringing him back. Got a little messy there towards the end, but OpTic still escape everybody intact.
And OpTic, they're sitting on a gold lead right now, about 2.2k. That middle turret is close to going down for TSM, which would be gold going back. But a lot of this is Crown, Arrow. Arrow's got a bounty going for himself right now, where these guys are actually farming up quite well. And you can see Arrow, his build is actually taking a bit of a turn here. He has a Zeal in it, something that you typically didn't see unless you were going Runaan's Hurricane, and he has a pickaxe.
We could be seeing Crit Kalista. I don't know.
Kalista. Be interesting.
There's some sort of wordplay in there, but
yeah, I don't know if I don't think he'll go Infinity Edge. I think this is going to end up being a
Rage Blade?
I don't think so. I mean, Rage Blade is good on her, but it's probably going to be Runaan's. But he wanted the extra AD. You know what? You might be right. It's probably Rage Blade, considering her item builds.
I'm just throwing some stuff out there.
You're probably right, to be honest.
Right now, TSM currently still maintaining that 1 kill advantage over their opponents. Broken Blade, though, not having a very fun time up against this Sion that almost has 1,000 bonus HP farmed up. This is the difference between Sion and other tanks in the top lane. This is the difference between a true meatball and a little meat boy. Sion is the one who gets things done. OpTic has their AD carry here in the mid lane, continuing to allow him to try to farm up. Currently the only bounty on the map with 450 gold for picking up the kill onto him, as Bjergsen has to pop the cleanse there, waits for an extra second to try to bait Crown into getting a little bit closer, wanting to aim the paddle star to see if maybe they can find some counterattack there with Smoothie. They get it.
Meteos is on the opposite side of this completely. And now there's the TP.
Akaadian gets himself over the wall, trying to escape here.
It's the flank.
TP coming in, and there's your Ragnarok. It's Dhokla looking to cut off the rest of TSM. Remember, Bjergsen does not have the cleanse alone any further, and Bjergsen's gonna be taken down. It's a double kill over to Meteos. TSM loses 2, and when one of those is your jungler, it's OpTic Gaming. Now heading over to Baron.
Yep, and because Broken Blade's on the bottom side, no teleport into match at all. He's gonna try to walk his way over here, try to get something done, and there's a Mountain Drake on OpTic's side. Sure, they have the Kalista, it got nerfed, so it does half damage on the Ren to the Baron, but it's still a lot of damage that'll rip through. Will Broken Blade get here in time? I don't even think so.
It's still a lot of damage. It's still a 3 versus 5 for TSM, and it's still Baron at 24 minutes for OpTic Gaming.
Yep, OpTic picked that one up, and now they have a 4,000 gold lead, and they can't even get this mid-turret in response here. TSM, they'd have to risk it. They have to walk up for it. Dhokla's going to try to guard this with the minions, push them back, and they're going to be able to pick this one up.
And it had 5% HP. I mean, you saw it, a single auto attack brought the thing down, but still, that was so good from OpTic. Not only did they finally get the opportunity to collapse onto TSM, they do it in a place and at a time that allows them to immediately take a huge prize.
Yep, and I'm looking at the builds now. TSM, they're pushing and trying to get this Ocean Drake. It's kind of the reward for staying on the map a tiny bit with some surviving members here. But looking at the builds, the triple lethality, I mean, that is going to do Jack Diddley against Dhokla right now because he built 3 armor items and he got the adaptive helm against the Cassiopeia. All of his bases are covered. Dhokla is going to be nigh unkillable.
And I mean, we saw earlier when TSM caught him out a little bit in mid lane, they hit him with everything. They hit him with the broadside of the ship for about 5 seconds, and it took 2/3 of his HP off. That's it. The man is unkillable at this point in time, and considering him and the rest of OpTic all have that Baron buff ready to go, it's time to claim some standing gold. 4 turrets down on the side of TSM means there's still 2 outside of the base that OpTic can pick up as the Sleepy Trouble Bubble makes its way onto Broken Blade. Crown wants to fire the Paddle Star in there, but doesn't want to go so far in that he puts himself in danger. Smoothie goes for the initiation. It's Crown who's the target, trying to get himself away onto the Lantern. Going to be body blocked away for now. Broken Blade trying to find some damage. Crown's going to be pulled back in. That's a big blender coming out for TSM. Can they find anyone else? It's big in the middle of 4 people. He's going to be absolutely destroyed as TSM get 2 for free.
And TSM, it's perfect that they have to fight there. And the reason is because their wave clear in this composition sucks. The Jayce doesn't offer that much in terms of range. The Cassiopeia doesn't either. They have to engage. And Akaadian and Smoothie are the 2 who need to step up. These 2 new guys alongside Broken Blade are the ones who have to carry these fights on the initiation.
Smoothie showing up big there, making sure he gets onto Crown and then standing directly on top of the Lantern so Crown cannot be pulled to
Oh yeah, he slammed that thing with a control ward, with a regular ward. He's like, you cannot take this.
Very, very important there to lock that big carry down as Meteos wants to see if he can go after Broken Blade here, but doesn't want to commit all the way into that. They don't have eyes on everyone else on the TSM squad, so you don't want to chase down someone tanky. TSM, in the meantime, taking the opportunity to grab themselves some more gold. Bjergsen will grab that second turret there in the top side.
Yep.
For the side of TSM, and let's take another look at Smoothie's attack.
And you can see Meteos was on the top side here, so Akaadian on the right, Smoothie on the left. They both are going after Crown here. Explosive cast, boom, hits it with 2 wards. One of them even gets attacked there, and then it's Broken Blade with the ultimate to kind of round things out there. That kept big as well in the middle of that fight.
Good stuff from a team that looked like they may have made the error that could have lost the game in losing their mid laner and their jungler at a time that gave the opponents an early Baron, but a good response is going to stop that on the side of OpTic. Look at your Baron power play, 15 seconds left to go on the buff, and OpTic Gaming are $200 in the hole.
Yeah.
Not where you want to see yourselves after that one, as TSM, now feeling confident, will push up further into enemy territory, start sweeping out wards, start sitting down some wards of their own. They've got 1 tier 1 turret still left standing on their opponent's side to take, and Bjergsen will just walk up, wait for that minion wave, and get ready to put the final couple shots in now.
And this is going to become such an interesting game from this point because it's only about a 3,000 gold difference. Now it's about 2.2k. And when I'm looking at the inventories and I'm looking at the score lines, Crown and Big are the only people who have died for OpTic, right? And the other 3 members, well, Dhokla did. Oh, yeah, sorry. But it's going to be hard to kill Dhokla from now on, I guess is what I'm getting at, is Meteos has a Guardian Angel, Dhokla is incredibly tanky, and then there's all this mobility on Arrow on the Kalista. So these 3 other guys that, you haven't been able to really kind of kill in the mid parts of the game, how are you going to get to them, especially with the QSS coming in for Arrow now? Smoothie and Akaadian have their work cut out for them. They have to have the appropriate flanks. They have to control vision perfectly here. And this is going to be something where if you take one step too far, OpTic can get punished, but so can TSM.
And you can see on the screen right now, both of these teams currently on a 3-game loss streak. So not only do you have the consequence of winning or losing this game itself, but it's a pretty nice bump to your mental to finally end that streak and get back in a good spot.
Yeah, and for OpTic, this roster hasn't picked up a win, right? It's the new roster coming in. And for both of these teams, kind of results and momentum are low, but questions are high. And you want to start asking or answering those questions as soon as possible so that your fans are relieved. Because TSM came in with so much hype, but a 3-game lose streak after a 2-1 start is going to have a lot of questions pop up. And with OpTic bringing in the new roster and going 0-2 when the other roster was doing okay, that's going to bring more questions and more scrutiny.
Braum taking a shot there from the accelerated shock blast from Bjergsen through the fog of war. TSM will try to use that Jayce poke as much as they can, but when it comes to a poke war, Zirene, you always know that at best you're on even footing against a team that has a Zoe.
Yep.
Sleepy Trouble Bubbles will always be more threatening the more walls are nearby. Meteos behind the side of TSM, ready to make a flank here, is going to be seen out by the minions. OpTic seeing if they can get in there. Sleepy Trouble Bubble makes its way down onto Broken Blade.
That is one way to get mid-priority is just cut through the entire way. And he's going to look for a flank here. They have to kind of keep their formation in check. Zven is just soloing this Mountain Drake, which will give them a lot of power with TSM with 2 Oceans and a Mountain. They actually will be ahead in the Dragon count, and it'll allow them to have a faster Baron if they get to it.
And remember, because that Drake was taken after 30 minutes, it means that all subsequent Drakes will be Elders. So this is the final elemental count here for the game. TSM still occupying mid lane. Dhokla finds himself caught out, but I don't really think you catch a guy out who's got 8,000 HP, or do you? He's pulled back into the grinder, and that's a big one for TSM. I speak too soon, and now OpTic is on the run. Crown tries to find a Sleepy Trouble Bubble, lands it down onto Akaadian, but Broken Blade does a good job body blocking the Paddle Star. OpTic's AD carry is going to lose about half his health to the accelerated shock blast. Baron is live, and TSM have set their sights in the pit.
Yeah, they've been able to actually clear this area out. It looks like they're looking for more of a pick. They do have good engage here with the Gragas, with the ulti, with the flash. Are they going to turn?
TSM's already into the pit. Big
Where's
not
Akaadian?
finding anyone with
Where's
the hook.
Akaadian? Where is he?
Wants to go in and hit someone. Akaadian not there just yet. All right, on the back side of the pit, just making sure. Arrow's going to be pulled to safety there by the Lantern. OpTic doing a good job of keeping TSM away, forcing the Baron to reset. TSM will still maintain control over the area for now. Crown will continue looking for that poke, but has to be careful at half HP. If he steps out too far, he could very easily be killed himself. Sleepy Trouble Bubble again down onto Broken Blade. But OpTic have now made the call. TSM are back. They're going for the surprise play of taking Baron themselves. Meteos is down to about 1/3. This could be risky. Crown finding some good damage down onto TSM over the wall there with the Sleepy Trouble Bubble. OpTic recognizes they have to get themselves away. Meteos going to be kept safe for now. Broken Blade going into the Gargoyle Stoneplate. Bjergsen's caught out. Dhokla looking for the last bit of damage onto him. Broken Blade pulled into the middle of everyone. Going to be taken down for sure here. The damage coming through, and Broken Blade gets shut down. It's Arrow making the kill. Big goes in. He's able to find the hook. He's able to find the play. He's going to find the play. And with the turn, Zven is able to find some damage himself. The shutdown back onto Arrow makes that one sing. And TSM go 2 for 1.
That was so close. The hook not landing on Zven, going past him, hitting Akaadian, and then Big taking that. That was huge for the tail end of the fight because Zven got such a great ultimate and such a great turnaround.
3-0-5 on this Cassiopeia. That champion select switcheroo, putting Zven on the mage. Let's take another look at how this all played out.
Yeah, that was a great flash there from Big to avoid the headbutt pulverize, to give the lantern to Meteos, and now Bjergsen has to flash to the side. Zven is dealing some damage. He's trying to stay behind his tank, Broken Blade, and then right here, this tail end of the fight, Big not able to hit him. The turn, the stun onto 2. Meteos has to back up there, and then it's just the finishing touches on the Arrow. Doesn't matter if he's bouncing around. Doesn't matter if the Kalista is going left, right, and center. The Cassiopeia just machine guns him down.
Point and click. Can't dodge away from that, and look at the damage in the team fight there. A lot of work being put in by both mid laners, but the damage comparison between the bottom lane carries is the real difference in that skirmish. Baron's still live. Neither side able to secure that one in the last scuffle. 15 kill game still, 3 kill edge over to TSM. Still a 2K gold lead though for the side of OpTic Gaming. Crown will continue fishing for those Sleepy Trouble Bubbles, looking for a paddle star that might be able to decide the outcome of a fight. We saw last time that TSM does have the damage output to take down Dhokla if they can catch him out. Accelerated Shock Blast makes its way past the big front line and onto Crown, as Meteos is forced to pop the Ragnarok to get himself out of trouble. That could be huge. Olaf without ultimate in a fight is not even the same champion.
Oh, damage.
Smoothie nearly, oh yeah, damage is a word for that one, Zirene.
I saw it coming up. That's the question. It's like, when you see the Zoe Q flying at you, you're like, how much damage is this gonna do? Almost all of his HP.
Yeah, about
disgusting.
10% left on Smoothie. Fortunately for TSM, 2 Ocean Drakes means he will be able to recover a little bit, but he still wants to go back to base, expedite that process here, as OpTic does have control over the Baron pit. Getting that big Zoe burst means that you get to have priority. You get to sit down the control wards. You can see many of those placed down by OpTic around this zone. Broken Blade stepping up onto the front lines yet again, been doing a good job being that initiator for the side of TSM in terms of the one that OpTic don't want to make things happen onto him. Akaadian.
Whoa!
That is a perfect placement. Forces out both the flash and the QSS from Arrow.
I didn't think that was going to knock him into the team, but he did. And Arrow is forced to flash QSS, and he gets the lantern from Big. Big is actually on point with these lanterns this game. His scoreline is 1-4-2, but that's not doing the justice to his performance in this game. Whereas Smoothie, it's the same story. 0-2-6, but this guy has been making the plays alongside Akaadian.
Here's Broken Blade again, not afraid to be on that front line. Dhokla could be in some trouble, going to be pulled to safety there by the Lantern. Crown not finding the damage onto the targets he wants. Hook trying to bring Broken Blade back in, but he pops the cleanse to keep himself safe on that one. Did have that available thanks to the power of the Summoner Spellbook. As OpTic, their front line is a little bit injured, but not too worried about it just yet. They have to move back towards the Baron pit because TSM have once again reclaimed control. And this is the classic dance, Zirene. Both sides trading those control wards back and forth.
Well,
seeing who can find the damage down onto the Baron to do it fast enough. Crown at half HP. Dhokla and the rest of OpTic have to try to move in to stop this.
Dhokla's gonna
Baron
go
down to 4K. Hey, 4K health. Smoothie coming in from behind. He's gonna be alone for now, but if Dhokla's soaking the entirety of the TSM damage, Smoothie will be taken down here, and Dhokla gets himself away. That means it's 1-0 so far for the side of OpTic Gaming. Zven's gonna be in some trouble. Hook's not gonna find him. Meteos comes through. He's going on a rampage. Finally the kill onto Akaadian. Broken Blade will now be tanking. Zven is kiting, but can he kite long enough? He'll return the Twin Fangs into Arrow, but the spears continue to fly. OpTic hasn't found anyone else just yet. Crown looks to finish off Broken Blade, but he won't be able to find it just yet. The damage comes through. Zven gets himself away. Crown's going down. Tries to dominate. Steps, dive, and down. She grabs the kill onto Zven. Lucian will take Crown down.
Wow, and at the same time though, Zven died on the opposite side. He got picked up just barely, I believe. Yeah, he got picked off there by the Gromp.
The Gromp of all things. The sleepy trouble bubble procs when the Gromp wakes him up. That is a rude awakening, and it's rude enough to bring OpTic Gaming another Baron.
Oh man, OpTic with another Baron here, and we talked about it before, the wave clear from TSM, it's very hard for them to handle Baron sieges. Now they have to find the engage. They're not even going to do the Elder. They're going to reset with this, wait for Crown, and because there isn't a Cassiopeia with the Mountain Drake up, they aren't really that afraid of TSM rushing this.
OpTic Gaming have found themselves a 5,000 lead. They have found themselves the Baron buff, and now they find themselves in a situation where they once again are forced to answer TSM.
Zven's got a TP, so he's here. Arrow isn't here. Crown isn't here. This is going to go down before meteos can get in. This is going... Oh, wait, he's rushing right in!
They're going in to see if they can do it, but it's not going to be done. Dhokla tries to get himself away. The Harpoon won't find him, but the shutdown credit goes over to Zven, who grabs the kill onto meteos. OpTic, in trying to haphazardly stop that Elder Drake, has surrendered a free kill as well as the buff to their opponents, and TSM is once again in the driver's seat.
Arrow back there didn't stick around, and it made it so that he was so late to getting in there. Meteos had to go for a hero play, but I honestly think that he didn't have to go for it. They could have set up a better defense. The teleport from Zven feels like it caught them off guard.
TSM now with the Elder Drake pushing up this bottom side, looking to take down that tier 2. They still know that there's 20 seconds left before Meteos is back on the map, and that's 20 seconds where they don't have to contend with a full strength OpTic Gaming. They'll push that advantage.
Yeah, and they just have to kind of use this Baron buff now to sit there and clear minions, not fight, avoid the engages from Akaadian and Smoothie, and like we were talking about the Baron power play before, negative 1,700 already. Hook. Bjergsen trying to make sure he can't get in, rushes in, flash, and not able to get it there. Even though he is 2 levels up to level 17, it's not enough there. And just the tick down of the poison, the Elder Dragon that they had just picked up. And TSM have 3 Drakes find that Elder Dragon. It makes it incredibly powerful.
OpTic really went for the risky line of play there in trying to commit everything to stealing that Drake away. Did not pay off, and now TSM are feeling pretty good about where they're at, trying to steal that red buff away. Akaadian does a good job there with a chilling smite, yoinking that one out of Arrow's hands, as TSM will now put the auto attacks into the top lane tier 2. They're going to even the turret count up with this one, 5-5. Game is 1.5k apart, 40 minutes in. This one's going to come down to execution, Zirene. The teams have stayed so close for so long. Let's go back to what we talked about with TSM at the top of the day. The team has played more aggressively. They've made more plays, but they've fallen apart on coordination later on. This is their chance to say, hey, we've corrected that.
Yep, and this is their chance to finally break that streak, to show, you know, what Reginald was tweeting about, where it's, hey, the proactivity is something they've struggled with. Well, watching this game, even when behind, Akaadian, Smoothie, there is no shortage of proactivity from these guys in the mid late game.
Both these guys have been doing a good job finding those initiations, finding those flanks this time around. Zhonya's Hourglass, Guardian Angel, Seraph's Embrace, plenty of tools on the side of TSM to get them out of trouble once they do go in here, but also worth noting the Guardian Angel. 4 Arrow on the side of OpTic, along with that Mercurial Scimitar, very defensive itemization from this Kalista that should allow him to stay out of trouble and keep himself alive throughout the entirety of these fights.
Yeah, it means that this build doesn't have as much attack speed as you normally would, especially since he went for the Ninja Tabi as well, as opposed to the Berserker Greaves, in a game where he really has to worry about physical damage from Jayce and from urgot. So, sure, the poke is probably what you're going to be taking, but it means that the stuns will last longer on him. He doesn't have as much magic resist as he could have. He's kind of doubling down on both resist, but now he has the Guardian Angel and the Mercurial Scimitar. I feel like if you want a little more oomph, you could trade those boots out, or even maybe go for boots 3 with the Swifties. Sometimes those really help Kalista's out, because the way that her whole movement speed calculation is with her passive is, it's like boot rank versus your movement speed is how fast that you go, and your attack speed is how quickly you make to the spot and then can attack again. So having faster movement speed actually helps Kalista go through the animation to get to her slot.
TSM still sitting in a good spot right now, but the buff has dissipated. Elder Drake, that first time around, doesn't last the longest amount of time in the world, so about 1 minute 15 seconds until Baron buff is live here again. Elder Drake will be back here soon, but still doesn't have his timer on the board, so no need to worry about him just yet. TSM maintaining control over the middle of the map. And look at the map in terms of the vision. OpTic have vision on this bottom side of their own jungle, but everything on the top half of the map is dark for this team. TSM have made sure of that, and OpTic have to find some way to pierce that veil, get in there, and figure out what's going on.
Well, OpTic want to run straight down mid and get that turret, because it's that kind of naked inhibitor turret. And they're looking for something here.
TSM trying to engage onto Dhokla, but it's a nice hook coming out from Big that finds its way onto Akaadian, who immediately goes into the stasis, gets himself away to safety. Akaadian ulti is used there. Zven gets himself out of the way, trying to slither around back to the back lines, avoid those hooks if he can. Crown finding a little bit of poke down, but now Crown is in some trouble, and that is a huge pick for TSM. Taking out the enemy carry means now they can continue the push and go even further on to the remaining members of OpTic Gaming. A double kill over to Zven means TSM is in control, and Baron is theirs to take.
And Zven on this Cassiopeia impressing. They banned the Lucian, they banned the Ezreal. He gets the Cassiopeia in the second round, and a lot of people worry about mages for the bottom lane. This guy, the grounded, you can tell that he knows how to play this.
I said the Baron is theirs to take. They may just win the game right here. Who needs Baron? You know your enemy frontline and your enemy just artillery cannon are dead for the next 30 seconds. They're going for the end of the game. Meteos comes around from behind, but you're 45-minute Olaf. What are you gonna do? Arrow tries to keep Big alive, throw him right back into the fight like a bowling ball, see if maybe they can maintain anything. But the turrets have already fallen. OpTic Gaming is dropping. Big's gonna be brought down. It's Meteos still trying to find the damage on Zven, but he can't do anything, and TSM will find their win.
Behind for a lot of the mid game, but the plays from Akaadian, from Smoothie, from Zven are what came up huge there. The catches, and they constantly force. The proactivity that we saw in that game, the issue that they were talking about last week, that was solved for that game. Moving forward, TSM want to see more of that in the future, because that means the more you're forcing your opponent's hand, the more opportunities they have to screw it all up.
And aside from where we saw Akaadian and Bjergsen get themselves caught out in the top lane and leading to that first OpTic Gaming Baron around 24 minutes in, TSM seemed to be on the same page. This looked like a team that had really addressed some of those communication issues and were working to make sure everybody had the same plan in mind, and it paid off when you got to see Zven just pop off in these team fights, when you got to see Akaadian and Smoothie say, here's how we're initiating, this is where we start the fights. And it seemed like whenever they found the big wins, whether it was one at the very end or the one in mid lane after that first Baron, it was Crown that they picked off.
Yep, and you could see the emotion on Crown's face there. Not happy with that performance, not happy with how that ended, because he got grounded when he's trying to make a pick there. Can't flash, he has the Zonias available, trying to reach the Lantern, can't take it. And so he's the one who gets caught out. He's the one who cost his team the game there at the very final moment. And he's the one that people are going to be talking about with why wasn't his team in front of him? Why is he going for the poke? But it's something they have to look at. And OpTic, you know, that's 0-3 with this new roster, where they were looking pretty okay with the previous one. But pushing TSM and pushing TL are things kind of the bright spots for them, right? Pushed them to the limits.
And I said this was going to come down to execution, and I firmly believe TSM was the better team on execution today.
Absolutely.
They found the opportunities, they executed on it, they made the win happen, and for more on that victory, Avli is standing by with Zven.
Thanks, Flowers. Zven, congratulations on the win for TSM, picking up a win and ending that loss streak. How big of a win was it for you today?
Sorry, what? Last part?
How important of a win was this for you today?
I mean, it's pretty important to win when you're last place, so it's pretty nice, but the game was an absolute fiesta.
Well, tell me about the Cassiopeia pick, because that was a surprise to us at the beginning.
Yeah, I mean, I can only play two champions, Ezreal and Kai'Sa, so Lucian and Ezreal, so when they're banned, I have to go for something like some lab pick.
Do you think we're going to see more of these Spell Thief bot laners this weekend?
Yeah, but I think mainly the users that use this are Lucian and Ezreal, so when they're banned, I think no.
Now, you played the bottom of the pack team today, but tomorrow you guys are going to take on the tip-top team, Team Liquid, currently undefeated. What are your thoughts going into that match?
I mean, I think TL is, like, without doubt the best team NA has right now. I think it's pretty obvious by the standings as well. But like last year, we had I think 2-2 record against them. So I'm not like afraid of them or anything, but they are for sure the best team. So it'll be fun.
Well, Zven, thank you and best of luck in that match. That's it for us here. Back to you guys at the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. TSM come away with the victory in a very scrappy and fairly messy game there against OpTic. Yeah,
I like how Sven censored himself a little bit.
A fiesta.
Yeah.
We talked about at the top of the show that TSM as an organization has been very vocal about wanting to fix the proactivity issues that they've had in the past, and this year have really indexed into making things happen in the early game. And yet, the first kill didn't come until 17+ minutes into the game, so I kind of want to dive in to why that was.
Well, I really like what OpTic actually did with their Olaf, Kalista, Thresh picks, because that will control the bottom part of the map, which everybody's talking about being so important right now, with the dragons being very powerful, turret plates being very powerful, and OpTic did take the first dragon because of that. You know, they didn't get the first blood and stuff that you're talking about super early on, but I thought that was good to draft this into TSM.
Right, and TSM does have tools to be proactive. The Gragas can make aggressive plays. You obviously have the Alistar as well, but just against OpTic's comp, it's really hard to find the right moment. The one thing about OpTic's comp I didn't really like was the Zoe. It felt kind of just tacked on there, and it's a fine champion. It is autonomous. You can find picks on your own, but you're so all in with Zoe, or excuse me, Kalista and Olaf. Just like I would rather have seen a more aggressive champion that can fight better in team situations in the mid game, because they had a Baron at like 25 minutes and then they got into a team fight and the Zoe just died and couldn't do anything.
Right. If you watch those fights, I was watching Kalista specifically, and I believe she had maybe like 4 autos in the entire frame of like 3 different team fights. And it's really hard for like, you know, win a team fight if your AD carry isn't doing damage, right? And then your only other champion is a Zoe that's poking to have double ocean. It's like, okay, how do we win?
And that just feels unusual to say, right, when the Sion is on the Kalista's team. Normally, we look at Sion, we go, boom, there's your front line for a team fight. You should be able to front to back. And yet it seemed difficult for Kalista to find that DPS within the team fights itself.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of threats that she had to worry about, right? And I think that gives some credit to TSM's draft, and I really did like how they had the Cassiopeia switch at the end for the scaling for later, for the bottom side, because that's the area that they have been trying to clean up, right?
Yeah, TSM and Rift Heralds, name a more classic duos.
I don't know if it's classic.
They didn't kill that one that time.
They're like an on-again, off-again relationship. Because they also dragged OpTic into it here. Like, OpTic was able to poke out Bjergsen after taking the Rift Herald. Like, he's at no HP. Like, you can easily, right now, swing back with these people and go get that Rift Herald. But Big just leaves through the bot side. You have Dhokla up in the top lane. No one's making a concerted team effort. You have a Lantern. Maybe Meteos can flash in. He slid his ult. Maybe he just runs in and grabs it and you Lantern him out. They do nothing. And they see him E backwards away. Like, go walk.
Now's your chance.
Yeah,
So just walk up and grab the eye. It's right there.
It's just the Gragas.
Meanwhile, look, you just saw on your minimap, Thresh recalled there. There's no way Gragas by himself, which you know is by himself because Jayce was low health. We just saw the urgot E away. There's no way he kills the Sion before a Thresh can throw a Lantern there. You get him out. You've got the eye. Then that's how you can keep snowballing.
Right.
And I think that the Zoe pick can help if you have a bit more of that early game lead. You can keep throwing the bubbles over walls to try and find those picks.
Where they have to
and
come
then,
to you.
Yeah, and then when someone's asleep, it's impossible for Big to miss a hook.
That's what you think, sir. He was doing W-only Thresh this game.
Yeah, but it's pretty crazy to think about how a mistake that small, right, when you kind of extrapolate to what it may have garnered them if they were able to pick up that Rift Herald, could have completely changed the course of the game. Of course, we have to accept that OpTic did not pick up that eye of the Rift Herald and therefore couldn't push certain advantages. We move into a very scrappy and messy mid to late game here. Fights around multiple objectives. Let's take a look at this one here. 36 minutes around the Baron pit.
Yeah, we have High, one of the premier shot callers here. Walk us through this decision.
So when you're committing to a decision at this point, the Baron is so low HP at 3,000 HP, and you have 2 people doing different things. TSM is going left down to the Sion while Smoothie is flanking. I don't really know who's making the shot there, but you need to make a decision of either finishing to the Baron and going for that 50-50 and or trying to punt their jungler away so it's not a 50-50, or you turn at a certain percentage and take that fight. But when you're split like that, it makes it really awkward when your Alistar is flanking by himself into 4 people, and then everyone else is nowhere to be found.
Right, and from there, the rest of the fight completely breaks down. It's all over the place. I mean, Crown did an incredible job on this Zoe, as much as we've had different opinions on whether that was the right pick. He played very well, but he wasn't getting that much help from the rest of his team. And there were a number of times where, like, Big would get ulted onto Zven, he would be knocked up, and he would somehow hook a gragas, like, past him and pull the wrong person into the team. It was a problem.
I asked the observers, by the way, to check on the health of this Sion that they turned on off of the 3,000 health Baron. So here are your choices, Hi. We've got a Sion with 7,961 HP, plus more resistances than Baron. Or the 3,000 health Baron, or turning the fight on someone besides Sion.
You know, I'm gonna say out of my choices there, I would probably, personally, if I was in that game, I would have committed to the Baron and just punted out the Olaf before he could ulti and or turn on them. But, you know, I'm not their shot caller. I don't think killing a 7,500
You should probably be their shot caller.
I don't know.
Based off that one.
It might work. It might work. Of course, Zven did have a solid game on that Cassiopeia, and you kind of heard it in the interview himself. You know, responding to some of that criticism around how many champions he can actually play at a high level, maybe shutting some people.
I like it. I like it when the players fire back, you know, because they've got to take a lot. So, you know, after a victory as well.
Yeah, I mean, if he was not playing well in that game, they probably could not have won because he melted down Dhokla a number of times.
All right, well, when we return, Ole looks to take down his former squad, Team Liquid. See if Golden Guardians can break TL's